This is the Range Rover P400 SE with standard wheelbase. This is a big and comfy SUV, and when you drive this thing, you will feel like royalty. Now, if you saw that title, you might think, don't Range Rovers have a pretty bad track record when it comes to reliability? To an extent, that is very true. These cars don't have a good reputation for being reliable things. I will say that reviewers like myself, we only get these cars for about a week or so. So I can't really talk about long-term reliability and those issues that you'll find 1 year, 2, 3, 10 years down the line. What I will do in this video is share with you my thoughts on the exterior, the interior design, the technology, the power, and the overall driving experience of this car. So if you want to see any of those things, please feel free to check out the chapters along the video. This example is basically close to the starting point for Range Rovers. It starts at $106,500 with this P400, and it goes all the way up to a $226,500 starting price with the P530 long wheelbase model. This one comes with a few extras like the premium interior, climate, and technology packages. It's painted in the Charente Gray premium metallic paint with the deep garnet interior. All in, this costs $127,925 with delivery. With all of that said, let's kick off this review with the outside first. I firmly believe that there isn't a more attractive SUV out there compared to this Range Rover. This has an unbelievably simple approach of using lines to basically create boxes. Conceptually, that's what this SUV is all about. A series of very simple boxes. There's no complex features, no intricate headlight design, no windswept character lines to be found, and there's no ridiculous grille. It all looks like it was sketched out on some graphing paper, and somehow, in my eyes, it's the most beautiful SUV I have ever seen. If you think I need my eyes checked, put it down in the comments. And I especially love how the proportions and simplicity has really become its identity. This car is a lot like the 911. You could look at any 911s from any era and say, that's a 911. You could do the same with this Range Rover. This press example comes equipped with the Shadow exterior pack. That's a $1,000 upgrade, so it comes with a so-called graphite atlas, or simply blacked out badges and accent features. So the lettering, the front bumper grille blades, the mesh, the door grille surrounds, and various other parts are done in this dark finish. And when you combine that with a black contrast roof, which is another $1,000, these options add up fast, you get a very stealthy looking Range Rover. Up front, this car also comes with the upgraded pixel LED headlights. Instead of a cluster of 2 LED elements, there's 4 individual beams of light in each headlight. I don't know how these headlights compare to the stock headlights, but I will say that these lights are unbelievably bright. Other people will think that you're sitting in a full-size pickup truck considering how high the beam pattern is. And perhaps that adds to the feeling of driving a Range Rover, because nothing gives you a bigger power trip other than the ability to shine extremely bright lights at other people's eyes. As for the wheels, these are 22 inches. There's a couple of 23-inch versions to choose from, which is an insane thing to say, but that totally fits the style of the Range Rover. This one is the standard wheelbase version, so the wheels are 118 inches apart. The long wheelbase version is about 126 inches, so that one can nicely fit a third row. And at the rear, this is, in my opinion, the best place to stand and look at the Range Rover. The slim taillights look amazing, and it seamlessly blends into the rest of the blacked out trim. I also love the rear bumper and how it slopes up, almost like the rear diffuser of some supercar. So I'm giving the exterior of the Range Rover a rating of 10 out of 10 because this car is a visual treat and it looks like the price tag. This car is proof that you can stick to your very simple design principles and still produce something very beautiful. Now, jumping inside, the interior has an upscale look and feel. This has the deep garnet or purple interior. There's a 13.1-inch touchscreen and a full digital instrument cluster, both of which I'll discuss in the tech section. I'll just say for now that both of these displays look stunning. The dash materials look and feel fantastic. The center console has your HVAC controls. There's a set of multifunction dials. You can push in the dial to access your heated and ventilated seat settings, and then you can pull on the dial to find the fan controls. Meanwhile, the center panel is a series of the other HVAC controls. On the transmission tunnel, you'll find a hidden wireless charger, and then there's the gear shifter, the start button, volume dial, and your drive mode controls. This drive mode dial is a button that you could press, and that will put the car into an automatic driving mode. But if you pop it back up, you could change the driving modes to anywhere between dynamic, eco, comfort program, grass, gravel, snow mode, mud, sand, rock crawl, and wade mode. And behind that, you'll find the set of cup holders, and underneath the armrest, you'll find a refrigerated compartment. As for the seats, they are very comfortable. Adjustments are made via the toggles on the door. There's an additional armrest like a captain's chair that you could pivot out of the way. I find this thing to be a bit annoying because it does get in the way when you're putting your seatbelt in. So when I'm driving, I normally keep this armrest in the up position. The steering wheel looks and feels awesome. It's comfortable and it's also heated. The fit and finish of everything looks pretty good. I love how the paddle shifters are made of metal. And then the steering wheel buttons and the dials and all the stalks all feel very high quality. The same can be said about the controls on the door cards, and that door handle has this really good bit of heft to it, adding to that luxury car feel. As for the second row, it has the same experience. The materials are great, the center console has similar controls to the front row, and the rear seats have a reclining feature while also being heated. This one comes with the Hot Climate Pack, which is a $2,200 upgrade, and that includes that refrigerator at the front and also the electronic side blinds. As for legroom, there's 40.4 inches back here. Anything in the 40-inch range is going to be very good for your rear passengers. And headroom is also pretty good for models with this panoramic sunroof at 39.2 inches for the second row, which is about similar for the front row. And at the rear, I love the split power tailgate. This is a good design because if you're parked on a hill and you have groceries, this lower portion prevents stuff from rolling out. It also means that if you're backed up against the wall, the hatch is physically smaller so that you could open it up more. In terms of cargo space, there's 40.7 cubic feet of space behind the second row, and that grows to 83.5 cubic feet with the second row folded down. If you run out of cargo space with this car, you are officially carrying too many things. So I'll give the interior a rating of 10 out of 10. It looks and feels luxurious in here, and the design feels very up to date. Let's talk about the technology in the Range Rover, and as expected, there's a good bit of tech found in this car. The 13.1-inch infotainment screen runs on their PV Pro system. This is a curved screen that has a floating appearance. It works pretty well, and jumping between menus is a good experience, just like your modern-day smartphone. There's also wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in this car, which I consider to be a must if you're a big tech lover. And just like I mentioned before, there is a wireless charger hidden inside to keep the overall experience wireless. As for the instrument cluster, it's a 13.7-inch digital display, and you can toggle through different layouts and also show a 3D navigation display. This model comes with an optional heads-up display, which is nice, although it's not as large as what you could find in other luxury brands. As for the sound system, this comes equipped with the Meridian 3D surround sound. There's 34 speakers in this car, and combine it with the laminated glass all the way around, which cuts out a lot of the outside noise, and the listening experience in this car is supreme. And of course, safety-wise, there's plenty of sensors inside and out to give you adaptive cruise control with steering assist, and there's also blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. I love how there's a 360-degree camera system in this car, and pulling it up is easy because there's a dedicated button on the side of the screen that will pull up the images. This display and the fact that you could change the camera views is very helpful when you're parking around tight spots or when you're off-roading. As for lighting, it has to be said again, it's ridiculous how bright the LED headlights are. And I love the ambient lighting inside the car too. The puddle lights on this car also looks pretty fantastic. So technology-wise, I'm giving this Range Rover another 10 out of 10 because this thing has everything that you need from a technology perspective. If you need more screens for your passengers, then you're gonna have to fork up a lot more dollars for the autobiography model. Next, let's discuss the power. This P400 model comes equipped with a 3-liter inline-6 that's both supercharged and turbocharged. And it makes 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. And that engine is attached to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a big and heavy car at 5,240 pounds. So while it has over 400 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 should still be possible in the mid 5 to 6 second range. Anytime you're in the 5 to 6 second range for your 0 to 60 time, you're in a pretty quick car. But with this Range Rover, you won't really be wowing anyone because this is fairly average performance for a luxury car. If you want more power, the P530 model has a twin-turbo V8 engine that makes 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. And that will give you a 0 to 60 time of about 4.4 seconds, which means that you're gonna have to fork over $22,000 extra to shave off 1 second from your 0 to 60 time. And as for fuel economy, this vehicle is rated at 18 city, 26 highway, and 21 miles per gallon combined. While those numbers aren't great in general, all things considered, it's really not bad for a big luxury vehicle. The big V8 with the twin turbos is going to be a few mpgs worse across the board, so that's all the more reason to get the P400 instead. So I'll give the power of this Range Rover P400 a rating of 9 out of 10 because this feels like an appropriate engine. It doesn't feel underpowered at all. It's just too bad that the big engine is going to cost you a lot more. Finally, let's talk about the driving experience, and I want to start with the ride quality first. The ride quality is extremely good in this SUV. There's an air suspension with adaptive damping in this car, so this thing just glides over bumps. You can firm up the suspension under different driving profiles, but it doesn't really sacrifice the comfort very much. Adding to that ride quality is the fact that the road and wind noise is severely blocked out with the laminated glass and the luxury levels of sound dampening materials. If you go with the autobiography model, there's even an active sound canceling feature to make sure all of that intrusive noise is minimized. Now, this might be a hot take, but I'm going to say it anyway. In terms of ride quality, this is the gold standard for other SUVs and luxury SUVs to be compared against. Now, as for handling, there's really no defeating physics here. All of these big SUVs are gonna feel top heavy when the road starts to curve a bit. And what the Range Rover can do here is that it can firm up the dampers to give it a more stable feeling, but it's clear that this still puts comfort as the #1 priority. The big and wide wheels will also fit tires that provide plenty of grip, so tire choice for this car is going to be critical. There will be better handling luxury SUVs out there, but to judge the Range Rover based on its corner carving capability would be slightly missing the point. And of course, the beauty of the Range Rover is that it's also something that you can drive into the woods. This has air adjustable suspension, so you can go into off-road mode, which will give you an additional 3 inches of ground clearance up to 11.6 inches. And that's going to affect all of the angles, like your approach, departure, and your breakover angles. And this also has a 2-speed transfer case, so you can engage a low range, so you could get more torque at the expense of speed. So for the overall driving experience, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. There's only so much I can describe from a ride and handling perspective. You really have to test drive this thing to find out how awesome it is to be behind the wheel. You will feel like royalty when you're driving this thing. So everything considered, I'm giving this Range Rover a rating of 9.8 out of 10. This is Land Rover's flagship car, and it shows. It has that timeless exterior design. The interior is just lovely with great tech, and the driving experience is very good. This is a really good car. Unfortunately, it comes with a lot of baggage of bad reliability ratings from the past. And the other problem with this car is that it is very expensive, and it starts at $106,000 and goes all the way up to something like a small house. But all things considered, depending on what you get, I think this car will be worth it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've learned something from this video, please consider hitting that like, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I make a new video. let's wrap it up right there. My name's Hanson. I want to thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. This has been the 2023 Range Rover P400, and I'll see you in the next one.